Hello, in this video we will talk about JavaScript and we will compare the timing for await with loop and promise.all. Await with loop is asynchronous operation and promise.all is an asynchronous operation. Let's see. We'll be having a look at it using Atlassian Jira. We'll be executing the search request to Atlassian Jira. The search request returns issues and it returns only 100 issues at a time. So if you want to get 2000 issues, you need to execute this request 20 times. And we will start with the await loop request. Here it is. As I said, it's a sequential request. And what's going on here? First of all, we have the loop itself, and then in this loop we get first 100 issues from Jira. Then we check if the response is okay. We take the JSON. Now we check if this request returned more than 0 issues. It means that probably the next request also will return something. Then we change max results, because first execute dummy result 2000, but Atlassian has a limit 100 and I don't want to check if it's 100 or more, so I just return 2000 and then it will return me the max result which Atlassian can afford. That's how I do that. Then I take the new start at which equals to the start at from JSON plus max results, and I execute the request again. And so I execute this request sequentially, and then I have a React application over here, and what's written here, I've got use effect. So when the program starts, I'm executing my search issues with the wait loop, and then I count the time, and then in the end I provide the time. So right now my request is I want to get 5000 issues. Let's see what will be the timing for this query. And as you can see, the query took 355 seconds. Now let's rewrite our query to promise.all. Here is the function. Let's have a look inside the function. I will disable this one, not to wait again for 5 minutes. I will go over here. And now the code is this one. First we execute a request to Jira to get the first 100 records. When we have the result, in the result we have the total number of issues. And now after having the total number of issues, I already know how many requests I need to execute, right? So the total number of requests will be total minus max results divided by max results. That's the total number of requests which I have to execute to Jira to get all the issues returned by this query. And I create promises, and then I execute the promises with promise.all. And that's it for the code. Now let's try to execute our application and see how fast will the query be. Here we are. Let's refresh the page, and now let's wait how long it will take. And as you can see, it took 17 seconds. So it's a very huge gain in timing, right? Because during await and loop it took 355 seconds, and now it took just 17 seconds. That's a very good win. Now what we're going to do, this test was in our environment, in our PC environment, because all calculations or this promise calculation took in my browser. Now let's try to execute the same things in the backend, because the backend with Atlassian, we wrote this program with Atlassian Forge. The backend belongs to Atlassian, they manage the environment. And now let's try to see, will there be a gain, for example, in the environment of Atlassian. Let's have a look. To try it, I wrote another 2 functions in the backend. I will not go to how to write the backend function with Atlassian Forge, but what's important, Atlassian Forge function can run only for 25 seconds. Atlassian doesn't let run any function more than 25 seconds. That's why what I did, I took for the await and loop query, I took 300 issues, and for promise.all I took 3000 issues. Now let's see what will be the timing for these queries. I will enable these queries in the front end, and I will disable this one because we don't need it anymore. And now let's try to see what's going to happen. And here are the results. So 300 issues using await and loop we took for 24 seconds, and we almost hit the limit for Atlassian backend functions. And 3000 issues with promise.all, we took 3000 issues for 23 seconds. And again, we almost hit the limit. And again, we can see that using promise.all is much faster than using await and loop. In this video, I showed you the difference between asynchronous operations and asynchronous operations. And if you need to get a huge amount of data, it's better, of course, to use asynchronous operations. But you have to remember that even asynchronous operations will not make your application run fast. That's why if you can provide a user with a small amount of data, and then the user will push, for example, load more or to move to another page, it's a much better solution. But sometimes it's unavoidable when we have to take a large amount of data, do some calculation on the data, and then already to show the final result to the user. For example, we need to aggregate something, or for example, we need to build a graph. In this case, if you have this choice, it's better to use promise.all, and you will have a much better timing. I will put the link to the source code into the description for this video. That's all for today. Thank you. Bye bye.